There are so many different social media platforms that it's really easy to get overwhelmed just trying to manage them all. Anyone else feel me on that? But if you're growing a business, one platform you've probably considered is LinkedIn. Did you know that you can target the exact group of people that you want to get your business and your content in front of on LinkedIn so much easier than you can on Facebook or Instagram? Well, that is just one of the many nuggets that I learned from our guest today, Katie Thomas. Katie is a CPA by trade, and she's also the founder of Leaders Online, where she helps professional service providers increase their influence, impact, and income through thought leadership marketing. We had her as our guest on one of our free weekly Zoom calls, the Girl Gang Connection calls that we've been doing. And I knew that I had to share the conversation with all of you as a podcast because it was seriously packed with so much value. She also showed us some slides as part of this training, so you may want to check out this episode on our Powerhouse Women YouTube channel as well. I know you're going to love it, so let's dive in. When we started this call series, I knew that I wanted it to be very actionable, especially right now. Those of you who've really hung in with us for the last couple of weeks and you show up consistently, I am just so grateful. And I really, really want to make sure that if you are dedicating an hour of your time, sometimes more if you stay in chat longer, that you are getting something really tangible, that you can go out and you can do something to impact your business. So when I first met this last speaker, I was at a place in my business where I needed help. Powerhouse Women was starting to become like not just this little cute thing that I did on the side, but it was starting to really take off as a business. And I had this email in my inbox that was like a message sent right from heaven, because it said like, hey, I specialize in helping business owners automate and set up systems. And I literally think I cried reading the email because I was like, I need help with all of that. And the first phone call that we had, I was blown away by Katie and just the way that she truly cares about people and businesses, and her excitement about what I was doing. You probably don't even realize what an impact that truly made on me, Katie. And getting to watch her business evolve from, she's a CPA by trade, but she now has really evolved into doing some pretty cool things, including helping people become thought leaders online, increasing their influence, increasing their impact and their income. And so no matter if you have your own business or if you are here and you work for someone else and you really want to understand how to use the platform of LinkedIn, she has been gracious enough to offer to do this training for us. And normally, we would have to pay to have her time and attention on our businesses, but I'm so grateful that you have been willing to share this with us, because I know that there are some simple things that we can be doing every single day just to be making a bigger impact and reaching the people that we really want to reach. So with that, Katie, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay, and thanks everyone else for your time. My goal is for you guys to walk away with, as Lindsay alluded to, like a very actionable plan tonight. So I have some slides and you can follow along. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen is that okay with you, Lindsay?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see it? Okay, perfect. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how you can increase your annual revenue by 6 figures in just 30 minutes a day using LinkedIn. And I promise you, by the end of this webinar, if you hang with me the whole time, you are going to have a good understanding of what you can do right now, because this is exactly what I've done in my own business. It's what we do for our clients, and you'll feel good about doing it in your business. Or if you don't have a business quite yet, this is going to be a perfect thing for you to consider utilizing whenever you're ready to start that big idea. So before we actually start, I'm just curious, how many of you currently have a LinkedIn and actively use it? Can you just comment in the chat yes or no? That's good. Some people currently have one. Okay, I have one, but not actively using it. Have one, don't use it. Great. So I see some mixture of answers, and whether or not you have one, no worries. We'll get that taken care of too, so that you know exactly what you need to do to set it up. But I was just curious where we were currently at in the group. So I know that you're very busy right now. You might be a mom now doing homeschooling. You might be trying to still figure out how to work from home. But I just want to make sure that you know that you're in the right place and that you're not wasting any time. So if you have an offer to provide anyone, or you want to offer someone something, whether it's a product, a service, or maybe just an idea, then you're in the right place. If you're willing to build relationships, you're in the right place. And if you're willing to share information that you're passionate about, that you're excited about, and that you can educate people on, then you are absolutely in the right place if you meet any one of those criteria. And if you don't, then you can still hang with us, but this might not be the best use of your time. I'm also going to bet that most of you probably know that you're made for more. And whether that's in the business that you currently have or the business that you envision having, you know that you're made for more, but you might not have a process to help you get there just quite yet. You might not have that process that you desire to consistently grow your network and bring you in quality leads. And I totally hear you, because I was once you. So to give you some background on who I am Katie Thomas, and I am the founder of Leaders Online, where we work with business owners to help them increase their influence, impact, and income through thought leadership marketing. And over the past 2 years, my team and I, we worked with over 400 professionals in 5 different countries. And at this point in my career, I've actually worked in marketing and sales for over 10 years. Now, from the time I can remember, I actually wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had no idea what that business would entail. I mean, if you count selling candy on the school bus at kindergarten as a business, I don't think anyone does, then I guess you could say I started then. But I had no idea what kind of business they actually wanted to run. And so when I went to college, I got a degree, an undergraduate and a graduate degree in accounting, and then went on to get my CPA because I heard that accounting was the language of business. Well, lo and behold, that entrepreneurship bug actually never went away. And so when I left my corporate job, I still wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I started an accounting firm. And that's whenever I found out like marketing and the processes behind it and the processes behind businesses, that's what I truly love. And part of this discovery for loving marketing was LinkedIn, because I found that it was a gold mine that a lot of people weren't utilizing and tapping into. But it provided consistency, not just for myself, but for my clients too. They didn't have to wonder, and I didn't have to wonder either, where my next business opportunity would come from and how I could actually expand my online presence to make the impact that I wanted to make and knew I could make. So through LinkedIn, I'm able to generate inbound leads every single day, and that's what we also do for our clients. It's not necessarily through ads. It's simply they generate inbound leads coming into their inbox through LinkedIn. And that's what I'm here to help you do today. Now, some fun facts about me, because I don't just work all the time. I still do hold my CPA license because I like to stay up to date on, the business laws and regulations, because I think that's good information to know as a business owner. I'm an avid horseback rider. I've been doing that all of my life. So total horse girl over here. I actually work with my husband. So a lot of people will say, like, how do you do that? Whether it's to me or him, but I love working with my husband, and I have 2 fur babies. So that's a little bit about myself. Now, just telling you that, hey, you can increase your revenue by 6 figures on LinkedIn, like, that is not helpful. So I want to make sure that you know exactly like what we're going to be talking about today and how that's possible for you. So you're going to learn why LinkedIn is the #1 place to grow your business and your network, and you don't need an existing following to make dollars right now. So if you're starting from scratch, or maybe you have a LinkedIn account but you aren't actively using it, you're fine. You're going to learn how simple it is to just get started. You aren't going to need a fancy photo shoot or anything like that. And then I'm going to tell you the key 3-step process that's extremely easy for you to use to actually add this additional 100K to your business. And it is really, really simple. So I could sit here and preach to you and just say, like, yeah, it's done this for me and it's done this for my clients. But let's actually look at the data, because I think that data can tell us a story, and I am a nerd, so I like data, but I think it'll help hit home some of these points. So 91% of marketing executives list LinkedIn as the top place to find quality content. So why is that important? It means that it's very good content, and it's relevant content, and it's informative content. So it's quality content. And building off of that, 92% of B2B marketers utilize it as part of their content marketing strategy. And LinkedIn is so powerful, and why people and B2B marketers use LinkedIn is because of its ability to target content and have your content seen by the people you want it to be seen by, which we'll talk about how they do that and how you can do that too down a little bit later on in this presentation. And so if you look at that, 92% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn, whereas Twitter was 87% and Facebook was 76%, YouTube was 67%, and Instagram was only 15%. I love Instagram too, but this is important to note that you might be missing out on LinkedIn if it's at 92 and Instagram's only at 15. And then only 3 million users share content weekly. And this should make your eyes pop, because there are 250 million active users on LinkedIn. So what that means for you is that if 3 million of these 250 active monthly users share content, that's a little over 1% of people sharing content, which means your content has a great chance of actually landing in front of the people that you want it to land in front of. So that's like a huge benefit right there. And I can tell you, speaking from personal experience, it takes some time, just like any platform, to start building up these views. And now I can create a post and get 50,000 or 100,000 views. But that doesn't mean that sometimes when I create a post that gets maybe 10,000 views, it doesn't get you the results. So for example, I did a really quick launch of a course, and in one post with 10,000 views, and 10,000 views is something that all of you could get with just the right hashtags, I was able to generate $20,000 in annual recurring revenue. And I want to bring that up because I think that on some of these other platforms, you can't generate this on demand. You've got to constantly be showing up, which is important. But with LinkedIn, with one post, you can see a significant return from it. So just finally, a few other things to note is that LinkedIn makes up more than 50% of all social traffic to B2B websites and blogs. So at the end of the day, we want to drive our social media traffic to something like a landing page or a website to sign up for something or purchase something, or we maybe want to get them on our newsletter. And LinkedIn makes up 50% of all of that traffic. 80% of B2B leads come from LinkedIn versus 13% on Twitter and 7% on Facebook. And then finally, LinkedIn generates 3 times more conversions than Twitter and Facebook. And as we all know, if you do have a business or you're thinking about having a business, you have to ultimately be profitable and make money to survive. So we need conversions. And LinkedIn generates 3 times more conversions than those other platforms listed. All right, so you can see maybe now, hopefully, why LinkedIn is pretty powerful and a great place that you should be considering using to grow your network and business. But what do you actually need to know to get started? Well, it's really, really simple. And actually, after this call, you could probably do it in about 30 or 45 minutes maximum. So key pieces to your profile. If you have an Instagram or a Facebook or a Twitter, really any social platform right now, it's really, really similar. And the things you're going to need are very similar. So you need a profile picture that looks professional. Probably don't use like your dog or your cat here. You need a background and consider branding it to you and add a call to action. So if you have such a little amount of space to capture people's attention or get them to take a certain action, you want to utilize it. And then your headline, which is like what goes right below your name, you want to be really specific. And I know that Lindsay talked about this on her last call, talking about launching, how important your messaging is and how you communicate what you do. And that is so important here because as you're adding people, what's going to show up is your picture, your name, your headline, and a message that you send them. So we want to make it really clear what we do. And some kind of like things that you can use to help you craft that headline. I help insert who you help with what you help them achieve by how you help them do this. Or you could use I help who you help, what you help them with so they can get some sort of outcome. And I put some examples below from people who are in the Powerhouse Women community. Apart from Lindsay, I asked for their permission. So sorry, Lindsay, you got put on the spot here. But these were all great headlines that they were on Instagram, but you can just move them right over to LinkedIn. So I help women in the battle with emotional eating and feel good in your body without dieting. That's perfect. It follows that top headline example. It says who they help, what you help them achieve, and how you help them do this. There's also Lindsay's, I help women launch plus scale their big ideas through community plus collaboration. Awesome. I know exactly what she does. Ariel has, I help entrepreneurs organize their biz finances with QuickBooks so they can increase profit and scale faster. So hopefully a lot of you have put together a profile before or have, you have some understanding of what a profile picture are and those things, but they are really important. And take some time to think about how you want to represent yourself and your brand on LinkedIn, because that's ultimately going to be your first shot of making that first impression. So that's the profile. And then there's also a bio. And the bio is going to be like right below your profile. And this is really up to you, like what information you want to include. But I gave some examples and I took a screenshot of mine. And, consider having first, if you have a call to action in your banner. So if I go back, I ask people if they want to become a thought leader. And then at the top of my bio, I tell them how they can opt into my lead magnet. You can answer who you are, why your work matters, who you work with. So is it moms? I saw someone works with moms. Is it business owners? Is it entrepreneurs? Is it, whoever it is, you can answer that. Maybe talk about why you're different. So if there's a lot of health coaches out there, you can talk maybe about why your process is different. Why, maybe you have a 30-minute workout process or whatever it is. You can put that there and then make it so people know how they can work with you. So what does that look like? Do they first schedule a call with you? Do they need to fill out a form? What is that? Because if you don't tell people, you can't expect them to know. Things seem so obvious to us because we're in our own little bubble, we're running our business, or we have an idea to run our business, but you can't make these assumptions that people know. So you want to dumb it down to that first grade level and make it so clear and so obvious and easy for people to understand who you are, how you help, and how they can actually work with you. All right. So earlier we talked about how 92% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn, and why this is the case is because it's so easy to search for people and connect with people. And what I have on the screen here is actually a Sales Navigator screenshot, and this is the search that you can use. It looks kind of funny because it's cut into two pictures, but this search is all just one search. I just didn't want it to be too small for people to see. And there's a lot of things that you can search by. So let's just talk about a few of these that are important to consider. Let's say I'm going to make a search for my ideal client. Start thinking about the relationship. So that's like one of the things you can see right here is a relationship. And what this means is how closely you're connected to someone. So if somebody is a first degree connection, that means that you're already like friends with them. It's called a connection on LinkedIn, but on Instagram, it would be like you guys follow each other. A second degree connection would be like you guys aren't actually connected to one another, but they're connected to someone who knows you. So I bet a lot of us in this group, if we aren't connected or following each other on LinkedIn, we would be like second connections, because we might not be following each other, but we both follow a mutual person. And then third means that you're not connected to anyone in their network and they're not connected to anyone in your network. So I recommend trying to connect with people that are second degree. So you're not like the creepy person. It's like, hey, they know somebody. And it's a lot easier to accept someone if you like, oh, hey, they know Lindsay and I love Lindsay and I love her group. So consider adding second, focusing on building your network around second degree relationships. And then also geography is another one that you want to look at, and that is right here. So if you work with clients virtually, maybe this won't be as important for you, but you still want to stay like in the United States or maybe in Canada or wherever you're located. But if you do say help people, your personal trainer, and it's in person, then the geography is great. You can look at seniority level, and seniority level is going to be great to consider putting in there. If, let's say, you do work with entrepreneurs or business owners, you can put that they're the owner of a company there. Industry is also good. So let's say that you're a VA for a marketing company, or you are a coach for the health and wellness, or you're a business coach for those that have health and wellness businesses. You could put the industry as health and wellness. So you can start to filter these things down. And another one I would say to consider is company headcount, and that's right here. Company headcount is really good for people who are targeting business owners. And let's say that you don't typically work with companies that have over 10 employees. You can go and select people that are self-employed, have 1 to 10 employees. You can just get pretty specific, knowing who you serve, and start filling it out that way. Something to think about too is, let's say you're looking at this and you're like, this doesn't relate to me. I can serve everyone. I work, let's go back to the health coach example. Well, if you maybe are the health coach that does workouts for busy professionals in under 30 minutes a day, I would start thinking about, okay, who could really use my workouts? Who probably needs accountability and is really busy? Well, I would think about people that run their own company, or maybe people that have desk jobs. Who has a desk job? Like engineers, accountants. Start like thinking about those things and building out this profile, so that whenever you start adding people, it's like, wait, I'm an accountant. I've been in busy season doing tax returns, and I really need to find someone that can help me work out in under 30 minutes a day. So you have to maybe rethink how your ideal client fits into these searches, but you can almost always find a way that they do. Does that make sense? If I could just have people chat in the comments, like a thumbs up or got it, then that'll help me know that you guys are following along and don't have questions.
There have been a couple of questions, so it's totally up to you if you want to take them as we go or if you want me to hold them until the end.
Let's see. I think my chat isn't wanting to pop up with the presentation.
Oh,
Uh,
no worries. Let me just I'll look to see if there's any that are easy to answer. When you were showing your beautiful header, someone asked what you used to create it, that header image on your profile.
oh, great question. It's just Canva.
Love Canva.
Yeah, so easy.
Canva, please sponsor me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love this is probably a good question, just LinkedIn in general. Sarah asked, she has a profile that's personal and she's been using it for her full time corporate job. Do you suggest people create a separate profile for a small business if they're still working full time for a company?
So they can. There's a couple things you could do. You could create a separate profile, but I have heard of people getting their account shut down because LinkedIn is strict about having two profiles just because they don't want people like abusing it. Say they, I think some people unfortunately used to like add max connections on one profile and then they jump over to another. And so they're kind of like gaming the system. So you can create a second one. It's just, I don't know what your chances are of like getting everything shut down. So I don't recommend that. If you're worried about, say, people at your corporate job finding out about your business, if it's small enough, you could block those people. Um, that would probably be my best recommendation if that's possible. If you work at a really big company, then that's going to be more difficult.
Okay, awesome. And then, oh, Sam was asking if we can provide the slides for everyone at the end. Maybe that's something, if you're okay with it, we can post them in the Facebook group or
Yeah,
something like that. Okay, cool.
absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, cool. I'll kind of keep an eye on the questions then if you're not able to see the chat. And if there's any that I think would be easy just to answer um, as we're going, we can do that. Otherwise, we can wait till the end.
Okay, perfect. So we talked about what you need to know regarding your profile and how to search on LinkedIn. And those are really like the very basic foundations, is just making sure your profile matches who you want to attract and then figuring out how you're going to actually go and search for those people. And then as you have time, these are kind of the things that you want to think about. And this isn't something that you need to do right away, but just kind of start thinking about. So look up hashtags that are relevant to your niche. And I put an example here on the left about kind of like the difference. So if you actually search in the search bar up top, say hashtag entrepreneurship, and you just literally press enter, or hashtag entrepreneur, you can actually see that there are a lot more followers for entrepreneurship versus entrepreneur. And why this matters is kind of twofold. So, one, if I use a hashtag with all these followers, say in my post, then it's going to go out to a bigger network. And the more people that see it, say your post, then has a chance to what they call on LinkedIn trend. And trend, you can kind of think about being in the explore page, but what's really cool about is if you trend is it actually notifies your connections and they'll say like, hey, Lindsay is trending in hashtag entrepreneurship. And so, and then you can hit view post. And so like it notifies your network, and it's not, I don't know what the science is of getting trending. LinkedIn doesn't say that, but it's not like I bet a lot of you could just get trending after your first couple posts. So that's great. Search your hashtags and use ones that have a lot of followers. I haven't found it to be like Instagram where you like stack hashtags where some have like a lot of followers and then you have little followers. It really seems like LinkedIn, they want you to use like 5 to 7 hashtags and go for the big ones. That's what I've found through my own like testing and through my content, is the big ones are pretty much king. And then also you should follow the relevant hashtags in your niche, because on your feed, it'll show you people that use those hashtags that you follow. And so this is a great way to find posts to actually go comment on and engage with those people, whether they'll become your ideal clients or they have a network that is similar to the network that you hope to build relationships with. So it's just kind of an easy way to see those posts and curate your feed in a way that benefits you. So hashtags are one thing to think about over time. You can also think about skills endorsements. So on your profile, you can like list out some skills and people can come and endorse you. There's no reason like not to put these there and just like allow people to come endorse you. Or maybe with Powerhouse, if everyone sets up their LinkedIn, we could support one another and help each other get endorsements. But that's something like you can just add over time. Also recommendations. So you can go on and you could request a review or leave people a review. So like I could leave Lindsay a review, and I totally should because these calls have been amazing. Just telling her how awesome Powerhouse Women community is. And then other people can come and like see your reviews. So it's a nice way for, let's say that someone's on your profile and they're like, should I work with this person? It's like, oh, they've got some good reviews. And then there's also an area for prior experiences, and you can fill that out kind of as much as you want. The most important thing is having anything that's like relevant to your current position, whether that's at a company or in your own company. But it's not like the bio is going to be what is more important than having all your prior experiences in your LinkedIn. Now, what is this process that we've been talking about? So we talked about why LinkedIn is beneficial and some of those powerful statistics. And then we talked about getting your profile actually set up, but you can't just stop there. Unfortunately, you can't just create a profile and then all the leads come in or all the opportunities come in or all the friend requests. Like, it just doesn't work that way. You have to actually put in some work. And so the first thing you do need to do is actually do that groundwork, set up your profile, make sure it looks good. But then you can go into this 3-step process. And this is really what you should focus on doing on LinkedIn to actually see a return from it. And this is the process that you want to follow until you can get some traction, say from just posting content. This isn't something that you need to like do forever and ever and ever, but it's kind of like when you first go to a new networking event or to a cocktail party. You're the new kid on the block, and you're going to have to go out and be friendly and say hi and put yourself out there. And after you do that a few times, people start coming to you. But this is the process for whenever you're just getting started. So you want to spend half your time actually connecting with people and replying to messages. So when you connect with people, you like went through, you did that search and you connect with certain people, I always recommend adding a message and something, if you really want it basic, it's like, hi, Lindsay, I see we have some common connections. I'd love to connect here on LinkedIn if you're open to it. Thanks, Katie. That's so basic. You can do that, or you could take it a step further and say like, hi, Lindsay, I saw that you're the owner of Powerhouse Women. I'd love to learn more about this event and how you got started. I don't know, you can personalize it to whatever you want. So you put some thought into, but if you are, hey, I'm really strapped for time and I need to build my network, then maybe just try out that more basic, I see we have some mutual connections kind of messaging. You can play around with it and see like what works best and feels best for you. Spend 10 minutes then after you've connected, you've responded to messages, spend 10 minutes engaging with people on the feed. And we talked about how you want to follow relevant hashtags. This is with feed. It's going to be really important that you follow those hashtags and the right people are showing up. And you can't just post your content and ghost. I'm sure you guys have all heard about that before, but you actually like want to engage and leave some meaningful comments. And this doesn't mean you need to write a book, but comment back to people and comment on people's posts that you see that you'd like them to be your client, you'd like to work with them, or they have a network that you'd like to get to know. This is going to be important so that you can get noticed. There's also like reactions you can leave, and you can leave like a like, but if you leave say like a heart, which is like a love, or there's like a light bulb, like interesting, or maybe it's curious. I always forget which one it means, but you can like use some different reactions to make your engagement stand out a little bit more than just a like. And then you want to spend 5 minutes actually like posting your content, and this can be content that's on your other profiles, or it can be commenting back on your comments to your content. And the great thing about LinkedIn content, like let's say you don't have an active Instagram that you're just going to move your content over and you're like, I have to come up with my own content. The cool thing is you don't have to post a certain type of content. So with Instagram, and I like Instagram, I'm not trying to pick on it, I'm just trying to show the differences. With Instagram, you have to post, if you're posting in the feed, like a video or a picture. On LinkedIn, if you just want to post text, you can do that. Or if you want to post a picture and you want to post a video, or a clip from a podcast, like an audio recording. You can post any of those. So you don't have to like stress maybe about coming up with a visual if you don't want to. But if you like that stuff, you can absolutely do it. So this is the process, and it's going to work. Now, what if you follow it and you say, I've been doing this and it's just not working? Well, here's what I would tell you. You need to kind of go back to the basics, and you need to review your profile. So, is my headline clear? Is my messaging clear? Does it make sense? Is it something people want? Are you actually connecting with people on LinkedIn? Are you actually going into the cocktail party and introducing yourself, or are you standing in the corner? Because if you stand in the corner, you're probably not going to see results. So are you connecting with people? Are you having conversations with people? And are you being consistent? So if you do this for 7 days and then you just kind of disappear for 20 days and then you come back and you're like, hey, I've been at this a month. It's like, well, you haven't been consistent. So you're probably going to have to put in more reps. And when you don't see results you want, you've just got to ask yourself those questions. The thing with marketing, as most of you probably know, it's always evolving, it's always changing. And the great thing is you can always evolve your messaging, your headline, your content to consider what's happening. Like right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic that no one could have foreseen. And a lot of us have had to adjust our marketing. But when you have a process in place that you know works, then you can always return to this. You may just need to update the inputs, the messaging, the headlines. But this process and this idea of connecting and engaging and creating content and having conversations, that process will serve you time and time and time again. So that's all I have. Lindsay, you can turn it over to the
Awesome.
audience.
Yeah, we do actually have a couple of questions that are right on this topic. This was amazing. I know I'm already getting so much out of this because like even just seeing that I can be on for 30 minutes and be intentional with that time instead of overwhelmed, huge. Okay, so some of the questions that I think would benefit everyone. Randy asked, is it crucial for a business to have its own LinkedIn business page?
No, it's not. And I would recommend posting as yourself, because people buy from people and people connect with people. And so if it's Randy posting versus Randy's business posting, the people are probably going to want to engage with Randy over a business.
I know that for, and I'm more curious about this from on a personal standpoint. I created a page for Powerhouse Women so that when I linked it as my job, quote unquote, it looked legit. What about
Yes.
doing that?
Yes, that's a great idea. I recommend creating one for your business. I'm glad you brought that up. I recommend creating one. And you could even post content to your profile and then like share it, kind of like Facebook you can do, share it to your business page so that if people want to go visit your business page, you have content there. But as far as like engagement goes, it's typically going to be a lot better posted from you.
Got it. Okay, super clear. And thank you for that. Sam asked, do you have a feeling if content with images or videos performs better? I know you shared that it doesn't have to include those, but is there any benchmark on what performs better?
So when you're talking about in terms of views, textual posts typically get more views. And the
Huh.
reason I believe is because on like videos, there's a certain amount of time someone has to watch it to count as like a view. Whereas a text, if someone like scrolls by it, you can get a view. And while you might get more views on say like a textual post, and to like the ego, you're like, oh, this post performed better. Videos, I think, and pictures, they allow people to know, like, and trust you and see that you're a real human. So I would recommend mixing it up and using a combination, if you're comfortable with, of all three, because I think that video is so powerful, and same with photos.
Yeah, okay, that's helpful. And there's two other great questions along the lines of what content to post on LinkedIn. And I think this is great. This is showing me, and it's doing the same thing for my brain, that we really have to think about what is contextual for the platform of LinkedIn. So, like Jessica asked, would you recommend posting your top performing Instagram posts just like as is, post them right over to LinkedIn? Or should you change it at all if you're posting to LinkedIn from what you shared on Instagram?
That is a great question. And in general, I would say like it's pretty much the same. You want to create educational content. You want to create content that always pulls someone in, has like a great hook at the beginning. So kind of like considering how you get people to engage with your content, you can like take those same strategies. As far as like if there's things that are like not professional enough or too out there, I think you'd be shocked to see what's on there. People want to see that you're a real human. You don't need to just like post about your job or your business. Like people really like to be on there and just see people being people. I would say that like how to's, like whether it is a how to say launch your new idea, kind of like what Lindsay did, like those kind of things do great. Also like moments of inspiration if you have those, or sharing your story, which all of these do well on Instagram. I think the only difference maybe would be like you need to change your hashtags, so that market research needs to come into play, and then the actual like characters in a post, that might need to change. So I think LinkedIn's limited to 1,400 characters. You might need to shorten them.
Okay.
But it's not going to be too much different.
Okay, that's super helpful. And that really kind of touches on what Tarly was asking about. Does it have to be strictly professional content or can you share the more personal stuff? And you really touched on that. Okay, Megan asked really just how you grew your profile to 28,000 connections. Was there something that you did specifically, or was it just that daily connecting with people, sending messages, like the daily activities that you shared? Is that what helped you to grow that audience?
Yeah, and I think that this probably happens for a lot of people whenever they grow on a platform. Like they might not see like that much growth, and so I just like was consistent and like networked with people, added people, and then it seemed like once I hit a certain point, and maybe it was like only like 6,000 connections, suddenly it just like grew a lot. And I
Okay.
don't still do this, and that's kind of like what I hope you guys can see, that you do have to put in work at the beginning, but it's not something you have to do forever.
Yeah. I have a question more just like from my personal experience of what I was sharing, how I log onto LinkedIn, I open my profile like while you're talking just to look at a couple things. And, I've got an inbox full of messages that are mostly like people wanting to pitch me things. And I just like really, I don't feel like I get that sense of like, wow, this is a great platform to connect. I feel like it's now become the place that people like pitch me things, which is totally something that I realize like my mindset could change around that. So I take full ownership there. But like when you're talking about sending messages or responding to messages, maybe share a little bit more like how to do that intentionally, because I could easily spend 15 minutes just writing back to people saying, oh, thank you, but no thanks, like no, I don't want to hear about your network marketing company or this or that, or and just like I want to acknowledge all those people, but a lot of them actually aren't people that maybe are my target demographic. So maybe I just am looking for permission from you to like, how should I actually spend time if I'm going to dedicate time to interact and like actually network in the way that I know can be done? What's the best way to approach that or think about it?
So I think it goes back to like what your intent is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come across someone who you're like, oh, they seem like they would be interested in coming to our event, I think then it's just, hey, you notice that they're a business owner. You could ask them maybe like how they got started, what they're passionate about, if they're interested, in finding and joining, meeting other women that are like-minded, that have big dreams and goals like them, if that's something that interests them, and then you could invite them to your event. So I think whenever you go into it with like seeing if there is like a connection between you that could potentially fit into like how you want to help them, how you want to serve them, what you have to offer them, then you have nothing to lose. Because if you build
Yeah.
it on the thought of connection instead of like just conversion, then it's like, well, my intent was to connect, and if we hit it off, great. If we don't, then that's good too. I know. But as far as like the spammy messages, I don't know how often you check like your LinkedIn, so I don't know how long those have been like
Once a month,
accumulating. Okay.
usually.
And maybe like some of your past like jobs or something. I don't know if you have like isogenics on there, if maybe like people are searching for people that are in like MLM or have been in an MLM, and they're trying to like market to you because they see like, oh, she was a part of this. Maybe that's attracting it. But you don't need to like respond. You're not obligated to respond to anyone.
Okay. So like I have permission to just ghost
Delete.
messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and I really say that more from the standpoint of capacity. Like if
Yeah.
I'm going to just be on the platform, I would genuinely love to connect with some other like women business owners, and then I get sucked into like accepting the connection requests, and then, a bunch of time has passed. So, it sounds like you even maybe create some template questions or responses that are just good to have like maybe in your back pocket to get the
Yeah.
conversation starting. Yeah.
Exactly. And also a lot of times conversations are going to start from like comments. So like if I say want to I follow you on LinkedIn, and I notice you've been like posting about this Powerhouse Women event. If I've maybe like left you a few comments on some of your recent posts, and then I reach out and I send you a DM, that's going to seem a lot more genuine and authentic than if I'm just clearly sending you a copied and paste message that's like so long about me. That's the other thing. Like, don't try to just like, if you want to copy and paste in terms of like asking them a question, engaging in a conversation, sure. But like these like long messages that are like a pitch, no one even reads them. They're so long, and it's not genuine.
And that actually hits on what Sam was asking. I was going to end on this question, which she said she feels like she gets a lot of those copy and paste messages. That is that actually an effective way to build a funnel, which I would imagine, knowing the way you approach business, you probably teach people how to do it totally differently, much more authentic way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that feels good to most people. And obviously people do that. People do a lot of things, right? And it doesn't mean that they don't get any result, but when you're like thinking in terms of like what you want down the road, I don't think that's going to give the impression that you likely want to put off. So if you're short term, maybe it works, but like long term thinking, that's probably not who you want to be.